Madam Secretary, Mr. Mayor, Madam President, members of the board, staff, students. Let's give a Newark Public Schools welcome to Deputy Secretary Marten here in Newark, New Jersey. She could be anywhere USA, but she is here with us in Newark. As a result of the Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief Fund, the district, in concert with recommendations from the Council of Great City Schools, conducted a series of stakeholder meetings for community input to create a plan to address the impact of COVID-19. As referenced in the submission of the thousands of survey responses received from the various constituent groups, major initiatives were prioritized in 3 categories: facilities, teaching and learning, and technology. The district responded by creating a comprehensive plan to address the enormity of the community's response to COVID in a systematic approach. That plan, titled New Chapter, written in Newark, is aligned with the district's historic 10-year strategic plan, the next decade, 2020-30. The elements of this new chapter written in Newark, some of which have already been achieved and others which are underway, are highlighted in the Secretary's visit these next 2 days here in Newark. The ESSER funds have helped the district acquire and implement technology solutions needed to facilitate remote and in-person instruction. We have allocated over $60 million to the acquisition and upgrade of technology, including the purchase of Chromebooks, so that we are in fact one-to-one, Wi-Fi hotspots, laptops, smart boards, cybersecurity systems, network infrastructure upgrades to meet the ever-increasing demand of bandwidth and network capacity, and for the modernization of the district's legacy surveillance system and legacy phone system that will significantly enhance the safety of our schools and will facilitate communication amongst teachers, parents, and all other stakeholders. We know the impact of learning as a result of the pandemic has been real, and national trends on learning loss has been equally realized here in Newark. While we did not need a global pandemic to understand the mental health and social emotional learning needs of children and how it may very well impact their true academic performance in school, coronavirus has unveiled the need to prioritize it unlike ever before. On Friday, March 13, 2020, now over 2 years ago, I spoke with the mayor and several elected officials and advised them that I would be closing schools for several weeks, given the rise in COVID-19 numbers here in Newark. Little did I know then that 3 weeks would have resulted in all we have lived and endured now for 2 years and counting. Perfecting remote instruction, converting schools to testing and vaccination sites, living a new normal with protocols and procedures, and quite frankly, just surviving along the way, worrying about the crisis in the moment, but simultaneously focusing ourselves on the work ahead of us so that when the crisis was more behind us, like it is today, we would be ready. And here in Newark, we are. Since Sunday, March 15, 2020, the mayor convened in the Office of Emergency Management a team of his top officials and asked the district from day one to sit at the decision-making table. Every day thereafter, he held 2 daily briefings, one at 9 a.m. and the other at 5:30 p.m. 7 reports, all in the same order. He began with the status of our senior citizens located at senior citizen centers and the state of residences without addresses. And then he ended with me reporting on the state of the children and staff in the school system. He worried about everyone but prioritized the most vulnerable. As I have shared with him in private and have said publicly on more than one occasion, Mayor, you have saved lives. Ladies and gentlemen, the mayor of the great city of Newark, the Honorable Raz J. Baraka.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. It's always a pleasure to be back in schools, for sure. I just want to thank the superintendent for all of the work that has been done here to make sure that our schools are safe, that they're open, that our kids are still being educated no matter how difficult the situation is, and that we're paying a lot of attention or close attention on the well-being of everybody to make sure that we're healthy enough, that we have this virus under control. He's done that from the very, very, very beginning and has partnered with us from everything from making sure that people had virtual opportunities to passing out food and making sure families had food in their household. So we owe him a debt of gratitude. The work that we did would not be possible without the help of our superintendent, for sure. So thank you. And I think some of that has to do with the fact that he's actually from Newark, educated in Newark, raised here in this community. So his love for the city is just as great as my love for the city of Newark as well. I want to thank first the Biden administration, period, especially 1 year after the American Rescue Plan dollars came, and those dollars helped us incredibly. It helped us as the city. It helped the school system, and the fact that the money came directly to the cities was incredible because all of us thought, we get caught in the state and the county and all these other things and we would never see it. But it came, we are using it. From everything to making sure people's businesses don't go under, to making sure people are not fired or furloughed, to making sure broadband exists in everybody's community and neighborhood, to reducing violence in people's communities. All of the things that we're using this money for the health and wellness of our community would not be possible without the vision and the fortitude of this administration. So we are extremely grateful and happy for that. And before I speak about our guests, I just want to thank all of the teachers in Newark Public School System. I want to thank all of the administrators here. Yep. All of the school leadership for being present and accounted for coming through this with us. And more importantly, even thank the people we took for granted for so many years. Our custodians, our security guards, our band teachers and phys ed teachers, our coaches and drama club, all the things that I took for granted, how important a drama club instructor is right now, how important it is to have a school social worker right now, how important it is to have a guidance counselor and a nurse today. All of those things are tremendously important because our kids need it and they've been asking for it. I'm excited that we have the Deputy Secretary of Education here, Deputy Secretary Marten. I'm excited because she was a superintendent, right? But also a principal, a vice principal, right? A teacher. So she knows what we know. And I say what we know because I started off as a substitute teacher with Timberland boots and jeans on, coming into people's classrooms as a substitute teacher, then a vice principal, then a principal, and then, God made me the mayor and a whole bunch of people in the city of Newark, by the way. So I appreciate that. I appreciate that, and, I think that because of this background, she understands exactly at this time period what we need, and she has the heart for it, and that's more important because a lot of people have the mind for it, but they don't have the heart for it. And I'm glad that we have a person that has the mind and the heart for the work that needs to be done. So let's give a Newark round of applause to our Deputy Secretary, Secretary Marten. Thank you.
He just teared me up over there because I'm really happy that you're mayor, that you understand that I have the heart for this. And I'm so grateful to be able to be here, to be a part of this, to welcome everybody, and be a part of something so incredible. Your superintendent and the principal of this school are phenomenal. Please give a thank you to everybody that put today together. So much work goes into putting something like this together, but nothing like the work that you do every single day to serve our students. So let me acknowledge a few people. Senator Ruiz, Superintendent Leone, of course, I already mentioned, Superintendent Zara, as well as Frederick Ingram, who's here representing American Federation of Teachers. And where's our principal? Principal Enriquez? He just, isn't that what a principal is always doing? Yes. I was a principal for many years, I understand. But thank you to our principal for having everybody here today and being able to join together at this beautiful school. I just got to see a little glimpse as I was coming in, and what a gorgeous school. But most of all, my deepest gratitude goes to all of you. You are the ones that have done so much during the last 2 years, more than anybody could ever count or could measure. You're the teachers, the superintendents, district leaders, school staff, union partners, students, everybody together. You represent the commitment that's necessary, the commitment to your community, the commitment to your children, the commitment to public education, to give each and every student what they need, when they need it, in the way that they need it, and the fact that you are able to know your students by name, by strength, and by need, and to not just know your student, but to know their families, and to know the communities in which they live. Knowing all of that is what allows you to take the wise actions you've been taking to serve this community and understand the meaning and importance of the American Rescue Plan funding so that you can direct it and use it in ways that best support the students. This has been the most challenging period any of us have probably ever faced in our lifetimes and in our careers. And what you've done is you've carried us through in ways that some can be measured and some cannot, but you've done that. You will propel the future of American education as well. This is a moment in time that could not be more consequential, which is why our president made the commitment that he made. And it's been just a little over a year. We know it happened March 13th, 2020, but it's been just over a little year since the historic passage of the American Rescue Plan. And I want to express my gratitude for the leadership right here, Senator Booker, Senator Menendez, Representative Series, whose district we're visiting today, and Representatives Payne and Sherrill, who also represent portions of Newark. I want to thank them. Thank you for voting for the American Rescue Plan so these dollars can be here serving our students now. Thank you. If you didn't know it already, your leadership has made a resounding difference for students in your community and across the entire country. Thanks to the American Rescue Plan funding and the dedicated efforts from communities, from educators, and school leaders, we have nearly 100% of our schools open, serving students for in-person learning nationwide. And this week and all throughout spring, I'm so lucky that I get to visit so many schools and districts around the country. Your superintendent already told me I'm in the best one right now, so we'll let him say that for sure. And I get to see how these funds are being used. And we're seeing all across the country lifting up all the innovative ways. We see innovation, and we see how it's happening, and we can lift that up and see how we're promoting recovery and setting up students for success, just like you're doing right here in Newark. Right here in your school district, you've used these ARP funds to provide extra tutoring to students, and that's accelerating learning, and it's accelerating recovery. Like I said, you know your students by name, by strength, and by need, and you're able to provide this. You provided every single student with the Chromebook computer, and you paid for unlimited Wi-Fi citywide, so every student could have access to the internet. And you expanded your adaptive leadership, coaching, and high-quality professional development for the educators across the system, because we can't take exquisite care of our students if we don't invest in our teachers, our school leaders, and our staff. And you know what that also means? It means investing in our future teachers. I know who I'm talking to. I'm so glad that I get to be joined today from the Red Hawks Rising Teacher Academy. These dedicated young people are taking college-level education courses right now as high school students, and they're earning credits towards degrees at Montclair State University. How exciting. They're going to take these high-quality preparation and wraparound supports that they're getting from this program, and they're able to become teachers right here in Newark. It is the definition of the Grow Your Own program. And AFT is funding their stipends so these students can focus entirely on getting the training that they need. The training they need to be able to focus on becoming a teacher so they can serve the students right here in this community. They don't have to worry about balancing coursework with jobs, thanks to AFT funding stipends for them. These are the kinds of supports that we know are so critical to our efforts to increase diversity in the teacher workforce. You're showing the country how it's done right here in Newark, and we could not be more proud. Red Hawks Rising is truly a shining example of what can be accomplished when we have intentional collaboration. Kindergarten through 12th grade school systems collaborating with the higher ed institutions, with local and state government, and our labor partners. That type of collaboration makes this type of work happen. It is a model for the country to pay attention to. You're doing it right here, and you should be proud because it's cultivating the diverse teacher workforce that we're looking for. They're from the same communities where they grew up. Look at, you all grew up here too. You know, grow your own mind. I think it happened right here with who's with me. The future teachers that I see here today make me know how bright our future truly is, and you will inspire students to become the very best that they can become as they grow and learn and serve. And I know that you're planning to offer them a contract as soon as they're done with their program here. I have to build off President Biden's State of the Union address, in case you didn't hear it. And Secretary Cardona recently built off of that with the press release and a call to action just recently where he asked all the state policymakers, higher education leaders, and school districts to use pandemic relief funds and recovery funds to increase the number of programs just like this, increase teacher candidates, and make them prepared to enter into the workforce as early as possible. And we're asking that we can scale up the teacher residency programs and the apprenticeship programs as one way to answer this call. This is how we move forward. Our secretary also called on teacher preparation programs in school districts to work together to address the teacher shortages that we're seeing and do it in innovative ways. I could not be more proud than to lift up a program like this and echo this important call to action that comes directly from our president and the Secretary of Education. And I want districts around the country to look to innovative ways, look to the Red Hawks program so they can be inspired by what's possible. You truly do show the way. And I want to thank you for having me today so we can be part of this important dialogue and lift up this great work. You all are amazing. Thank you very much. And I want to introduce my good colleague over here. Will you please come up, Frederick from AFT? You'll be wondering if you were next. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can I ask everybody to put one hand in the air, please? Right hand in the air. Shake it around, please. Shake it around, put it back down. I just wanted to shake everybody's hand before I started. Thank you all very much. I'm from the South, and that's just the way we do it. I'm a teacher at heart. Again, my name is Frederick Ingram. I am the Secretary-Treasurer for the American Federation of Teachers, and I am super excited to be here. Let me, first of all, just give my thanks to Secretary Marten. I want to say Cindy, our colleague, who is at a place of power, who cares about our public schools, by extension, Secretary Cardona, doing a fantastic job in Washington, D.C. Also want to pay respect to Mayor Baraka. Thank you very much, because you're leading the way in what should be support for our schools all across this country. Thank you for your leadership. And Superintendent Leon, thank you very much. And I appreciate your comments, and I appreciate your direction for our public schools. But I first want to talk to my colleagues. Thank you all for being here. This has been quite a year. Sometimes we shake our head like this, sometimes we shake our head like this, and sometimes we just drop our head, but most times we lift our chin up because we're trying to lift our children's chin up. Thank you all for what you're doing every day. It's hard out there. This year has been incredibly wonderful in so many ways, but incredibly hard. And I want to embrace that, and I want to touch that, and I want to thank you all so much for doing that. And then these young people in this program who want to be teachers, this is the best profession you will ever pick in your life. It is the most important thing that you will ever do in your life. Keep on keeping on. Because our colleagues here, just like you all will be, you all are the heroes and sheroes for the next decades. And children upon children and communities and families are going to rely on each and every one of you. They're going to rely on each and every one of you to touch them. So I know we have one senior in the bunch. Won't you stand up and be recognized? Let's give her a big round of applause. Thank you, because you'll be the first of this great program to go into our wonderful profession, and we will embrace you with open arms. Thank you so much for what you do. You all keep up the good work, and we welcome you now to this world of teaching. I want to firstly thank the Biden administration for putting their money where their mouth is. They say they care about schools. They say they care about children. A lot of people say they care about families. But this administration has done something unique, done something historic, with the biggest infusion of funding that we've ever seen in our public schools in the history of America. That's what we're celebrating today, the one-year anniversary. An administration that has saved lives all over this country. I could tell you how in Yonkers, New York, where they use money for healthcare workers. I could tell you about New Mexico, where they expanded the opportunities for counseling. I can tell you about LA, where they had Meals on Wheels because of the art funds. You know what the money did here for you to get us back into our schools in person. And the list goes on. I'm from Florida, and it has helped us too. And so I just want you all to know that from the American Federation of Teachers, we've tried to do exactly and be exactly what we say we are. We are putting our money where our mouth is. We believe that there is a teacher shortage in this country, and for the foreseeable future, that teacher shortage will be wide open. But it's going to be young people who will fill that gap. Montclair is helping us fill that gap. Teacher programs all over this country, and we need to infuse the cash into these programs to make sure that they will not only take our place, but that they will help us now. Because we need help now. We need those people to be in place. And so I just stopped by because there are 1.7 million members in the American Federation of Teachers who do what you do every single day. They care about 50 million of our little babies every day. It's all we have. I have a 16-year-old that I give to people just like you every day. The most important person in America at 5 o'clock in the morning is her bus driver. That's the most important person in America because I want that man or that woman to kick the tires, drink some coffee, watch every red light, and look out for my little baby and bring her home exactly the way she came. That's what I want. And then I want the paraprofessional who work with our most challenged to be honored because they do the work that others won't do. They change diapers. They hold them down for us. They read to them when we won't. They stay there after school and before school. And then every math teacher and every English teacher, that's what this is about. Yes, it's about money. Yes, it's about cash. Yes, it's about the support from the administration, but it is about the work that we do every day. I'm passionate about this. I know you can see that because I know that you are. God bless you. God keep you. From the American Federation of Teachers and our president, Randy Weingarten, we honor you today. We honor Newark, New Jersey. We honor all the kids that you teach, and we honor you. Thank you so much.
When we think about what has happened over the last 2 years plus, and we're inspired by the speakers today, you think about how much has been closed, and then I think about how much was opened in terms of our hearts were opened, our minds were opened, our eyes were opened, and we got to see into the lives of our students, and you shared your lives as well in ways that we never had before. So there can be a lot closed, and there was a lot opened and a lot changed. And so I want to have a conversation today with you and just ask a couple of questions. You've heard from the speakers. You hear the passion that we all have. This is my 33rd year in education. I was 17 years as a classroom teacher, and I worked at an elementary school in inner city San Diego, and then as a superintendent before coming here. So I bring a teacher's heart to have a teacher's conversation this afternoon. So let me just pose a couple of questions, and let's get this conversation started. Just thinking about how have the American Rescue Plan dollars improved your job, your school, and your district. And sometimes I make the distinction between your job and your work. People ask me, what do I think about my new job as Deputy Secretary of Education? And I think, I'm a teacher. That's who I am. I know what my work is. My job has changed. So how has your work changed? How has your job changed? And how specifically has the American Rescue Plan dollars made an impact? How have they improved your job or your work or your school or your district? And I'll open it up for conversation. And I'm a teacher, so I know how to do wait time. 15 seconds, she says, is wait time. Is that Madeline Hunter? I don't know. That's real old. Back there, yes.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Janice Litterio. I'm an academic interventionist at First Avenue School in Newark, New Jersey. And in my other career at night, I am the program monitor for our Excel program. So your question was addressing how have the dollars been really improving the quality of the children in the District of Newark. I can witness firsthand the tutoring program, and the tutoring program in Newark Public Schools is an intricate component added this year in order to address the gaps imposed by the pandemic. Tutoring occurs in the morning now, after school, so before school, after school, and even on Saturday programs. So emphasis is placed again on accelerated instruction, tailored instruction. The part of the tutoring occurs during the Excel program, which is our after-school program. And we have seen much success with that, too. Our Excel after-school program is bifurcated. So after the children receive a supper meal, which, by the way, might be the last meal that they eat that day, right? So, and that's happening in school. The children go to a curriculum-oriented portion and an enrichment portion of the after-school program. There were notable changes because of funding. We were able to add kindergarten to address our most fragile learners. Fabulous. Prior to that, it was first grade to eighth grade. We now have a dedicated 6th, 7th, and 8th grade where prior to that they were bucketed. So 6th, 7th, and 8th was one class. And now they receive their proper grade level curriculum. The new curriculum from K to 8 was written specifically to complement and reinforce the daytime daily instruction. Also, we part of that program are the enrichment activities. So for social emotional learning, we have instituted yoga, New Jersey PAC, Arts for Kids, Girl Scouts. To address STEAM, we implemented grassroots and club invention, and technology, school to career writing, we have Right on Sports. So as you can see, the children of Newark are benefiting by these dollars, and we appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for listing out so much of how these dollars have actually changed. And I just tuned into just a little bit of what you said about the tutoring, and we hear the secretary talk about the priorities of high dosage tutoring really mattering, and the fact that you added the kindergarten students to it. But what I really loved, my teacher hat on, is that you're connecting it to the school day. Too often, tutoring can be so disconnected from the learning in the classroom that they're learning with the teacher during the day, and then after school or on the time when they're tutoring it's a disconnect. And the fact that you've connected that shows the intentionality. So I love to hear things like that. Other comments about how it's improved your job or your school or your district? Yeah. Lenore?
Hi, I'm Lenore Furman. I teach kindergarten at Abington Avenue School. I have to say one of the many, many benefits that I've seen over the years, but the increase in technology funds into the district. Previously, we had 4 kindergarten classes, about 95 students sharing one Chromebook cart, so it was about 32 Chromebooks for those children.
Wow.
And we are now this year 1-to-1.
Wow.
So I have seen an increase in the students' use of Chromebooks where now they get to use them on a daily basis, as before maybe they got to use Chromebooks once a week. And also going twofold with that is the increase in the families' comfortability with the technology.
Good.
Because now they can take the Chromebooks home, the families can use the Chromebooks at home with their students. And also, it's increased my contact with families, because now families are more apt to email me questions and notices during the day, and my child is ill, or whatever it is, academically, how is she doing? Whereas before that was not seen, and I think that's the increase in the familiarity with the Chromebooks and the technology, and also what the district has done with the money in terms of making sure that everyone in the city has hotspots or some sort of internet access.
I love hearing this from a kindergarten teacher, the way kindergarten students and their families are connected. And we often used to say, even before we had to close our schools, that if you can't reach them, you can't teach them. And that was inside a classroom. If you can't reach them, you can't teach them. If you don't understand students' strengths, gifts, talents, and abilities, and you're not seeing the gifts that they're bringing, whether it's from language or culture into the classroom, then you're not able to connect and teach them. Now we mean it quite literally. If you can't reach them, you can't teach them. And the fact that reaching the students, giving them the access with the Chromebook, the connectivity, that type of learning that happened is now continuing. And I always say, once you see it, you can't unsee it. Once you learn it, you can't unlearn it. And what the community has learned, not just the students, how to use, it's not just about, I know how to turn the computer on now. The computer is a tool for learning and for connecting. And that kind of connecting goes beyond anything we could ever have hoped or imagined when it goes to scale the way it's going to scale. Truly phenomenal. And Ms. Perez, you had something to say too?
Hi, everyone. I'm Mengxin Perez. I'm the resource teacher from Park Elementary School. So I have the good fortune of working with my principal, who always encourage the professional development and excellence and using the most effective and impactful learning tools. And this time, the most of things that we purchased with the funding is some play-based learning tools, including hands-on manipulative tools and tactile sensory tools, all of which we can integrate into our daily learning activities and lessons. And with these interactive learning materials, the educational process comes to life in a fun and creative way. So before we had these materials, our center's activity were relying on worksheets. And we all know how important the role of play is in education. You know, kids need to play. The famous psychologist Vygotsky, I mentioned him here. Everybody knows him. He claimed that children cannot learn without playing with each other. But you know, before we had all these materials, especially under the pandemic, we couldn't share all the things with everybody, so we were relying on worksheets. But with the materials, so today I brought some samples actually to share with everyone.
Love it. I love this.
I'm another great teacher.
This makes it very
It has to be
concrete.
fun. Remember, we're comparing two worksheets.
Oh,
So this is a pre-K activity, science activity. They're learning the scientific inquiry skills through the topic of dinosaur discovering. So you can, you can dig the dinosaurs out from the clay egg, right? A hands-on material. You will think it's more fun than coloring a worksheet, right? Right, and this is kindergarten Phonics Center activity. So the kids just made the diagraph necklace with these beads. So everybody likes that. All the kids are very engaged. And we have the first grade Phonics Center activity. We were using sand table, so I couldn't bring the whole sand table, but we use the sand table every single day. So we were looking for the L blends, like FLBL, the L blends from the sands, and then we match them with the work cards. We're comparing this to the worksheets. And this is a second grade mathematics and science activity. So we use the different scooping tools. This is the ice cream scoop to fill up a 5 ounces cylinder, which really gives them the sense of how to measure things. Yeah. So with this, I feel like our teaching changed and the kids are so happy and so engaged in this learning activity.
I had to borrow a pen to start taking notes, and I'm about to borrow a tissue because you have me tearing up around. You just made this so concrete. And that's what matters. The American Rescue Plan was intended to make a difference. We know exactly what we needed it to do, but you know specifically here in the community how it mattered. And great thing, I always say great communities, and Mayor I know knows this, I can see your heart and the way you're leading the city. Great cities don't just happen. They happen by generations of people who care, and the way you made that so tangible. This is what we call hands-on, minds-on learning. And that hands-on, minds-on learning, and the fact that you connected it to professional development, we know that when teachers have a sense of efficacy, which comes from high-quality professional development about how this will make an impact, that's what teachers look for. They want to be able to be supported, they want the tools, they want the resources, they want the professional development because it leads to efficacy. And that's what we want. We want to know we're making a difference. And I just have to shout out that you brought up Vygotsky. Come on, I know I'm in a room full of teachers. We're talking about the zone of proximal development, and you brought Vygotsky into the room. So now we're about to have a college course here, I think. Montclair University's happy, wonderful, very wonderful. This is phenomenal. I have a couple more questions, which doesn't mean you can't go back to this one, but I'm going to just throw a few more out there. I want to know, and specifically, maybe tell a story why you decided to become an educator. We know we need to have more people want to become teachers. I'm like the biggest cheerleader of being a teacher. I'm a #1 fan of being a teacher. Well, maybe you are, and Randy Weingarten, but we can all decide who's going to be the #1 fan of being a teacher. But what made you decide? And when you think about how the investments have improved your teaching, how it improved outcomes for kids, if you want to tell a story about what made you become an educator. Also, I have a question about how the district can attract more teachers to want to go into this program. How do we have more students wanting to become educators? What made you want to do that? And what are you doing as a teacher to inspire future educators? So I kind of put all the questions there, and you can pick the one that works for you, because I want to hear more voices, and I would love to hear, well, we have our senior wants to add to the conversation, but get yourself ready. I'm giving you your anticipatory set. Get ready to answer the next question.
Hi, so my name is Melissa De Almeida. I'm a senior at Eastside High School right now. So I wanted to answer your first question about why I wanted to become a teacher. This makes me really nervous. So legit.
Don't be nervous. We're all a bunch of teachers. Don't pay attention to anyone back there. It's just us talking.
So when I was younger, I came to Oliver. I'm at the OG building though, so really, really old.
Okay.
But I was here in this Oliver too with the transition. So some of the teachers that taught me are still here. And I had this one in particular teacher, and she had brought in a microwave for us. And she made s'mores, and then she got a bunch of cups and got lemons and like hand squeezed each lemonade, and she sat there with us. She read books with us. We did so many cool activities that I don't see as much nowadays. Like in my classes in high school, obviously I'm a lot older now, I don't need this, but she made activities fun. She made school fun. She made it comfortable where we could come and we can talk to her. She also spoke Portuguese. So I'm Brazilian. So as much as I think she was from Portugal, but the Portuguese, the language is still kind of the same. You can talk to me, you can communicate with me. She could connect with me on a different level that other teachers couldn't. She could connect with the other kids who were bilingual, who didn't speak English so well, and she can connect with them. She can teach them in a way that they understand and that they're not behind. Usually when you come from a different country and you don't speak English, they put you in ESL classes. And nothing wrong with ESL classes. I was in them and they taught me English, and my English is good, pretty good right now. But when my sister was in school, like this was like maybe 10, 15 years ago, they didn't offer that to her. They didn't have that accessibility to her. So she had to learn English through the struggles of not understanding it. So trying to learn something and not understanding the language provided to you is very difficult. So all these experiences kind of grew a little light in me. And after I had that teacher, and I had other great teachers in the years after, who still tried to connect with me, even though I was older and I already spoke English, they tried to connect with me. They connected with my parents. They made sure that my parents felt safe and secure, letting them know that your kid's at school, she's safe. This is what she's doing. This is what she's learning. And now that I'm at Eastside, my parents still feel safe knowing that I'm there. Like I'm in 3 different sports right now. So I play sports all year long. But my parents know that I'm safe, that I'm okay. They feel comfortable knowing like this is all the opportunities I have handed to me. So my parents came from another country to give me a better education and give me and my sister the opportunities they never had, and they gave that. They were able to give that in schools like Oliver and schools like Eastside, have these programs that can benefit us and help us succeed even if we don't speak the language. So having a program like this where I can start getting my credits earlier makes it a lot easier with the pathway.
Did you write her contract yet? Is she already hired? Wow. 2026, that's when he's already committed to hiring.
I
you.
also wanted to answer your second question.
Yes.
Why make teachers, your second question was, what could you do to benefit, to have more teachers come?
Yeah.
And I think that if you have teachers coming from Newark or coming from around the same community,
Yeah.
and make students be able to connect to them more. Like I said, my teacher connected with me through, the language barrier that I had, the language barrier that if they helped my sister, she would have connected better too. And I think that if you're hiring teachers like us who want to be teachers, hiring them to come back and teach in Newark, and having a teacher from the same community as you who understands your challenges, who understands your language barriers, makes it 100% easier for the parents to trust you, family to get in contact with you, like she was saying about emailing her, for students to be able to connect with you. It just makes things easier. So maybe if you hired people from Newark.
More
Yeah.
grow your own programs like this. That's the way to do it. What beautiful testimony. Very, very beautiful testimony around your story and your journey and what this teacher meant to you, the teacher right here from this school with the lemonade and the microwave, and you remember that. And there's a famous quote from Maya Angelou who said, people don't remember what you say, they don't remember what you do, they remember how you made them feel. Now, as teachers, we hope they remember what we say too, but they really, look what she remembers. She remembers how that teacher made her feel. You felt seen, you felt heard, you felt valued. The idea of you can't teach them if you can't reach them, that teacher was able to not only reach you, but turned you into a teacher. What a gift. What a beautiful gift. I just love that. Thank you. What else? Yeah. I'll come back to you after that.
Good afternoon. My name is Karen Unger. I teach 8th grade math and Algebra 1 at Ann Street School. To speak to your question about inspiring other educators, I know that the funding provided by ARP has allowed a lot of teachers in our district to serve as curriculum writers. So I was involved and am still involved in rewriting the high school math curriculum, and just the experience has inspired me. I think I've become a better teacher as a result of it. Just we've been very involved in selecting materials from all different resources that are best suited for our students, structuring the units in a way that fosters conceptual understanding in our students, and also just selecting materials that build that engagement and that excitement in students. So, and in addition to that, the funding that has brought in more manipulatives to teach the new curriculum, all of this has inspired me, and I just think this direction we're moving in as a district, with teachers having more say in the curriculum and what's best for our students, hopefully that will continue to inspire other teachers in the district. So it's been a big difference for me. I feel like I've been learning a lot and becoming a better educator.
And the idea that teachers can be involved now with this funding, with the American Rescue Plan dollars, to imagine teachers have their hands into the curriculum, writing the curriculum, being able to, you've had some years of teaching experience, so there are probably years you're just going full speed and you don't have time to rework a lesson or rework the scope and sequence of something, but now you have the time with the dollars being invested to let you be a curriculum writer and actually put the sequence in a way that might make sense for your students or switch things around. So I think that goes back to teacher voice and agency. Sometimes the dollars are invested in really tangible things that you can see, and then the time that you have now to work on that curriculum. We don't teach curriculum, we teach students, but when the curriculum is written by a teacher who's with students every day, it makes a difference. So I know I'm getting this wrap-up thing, and I could talk all day, but I promised one more gentleman in the back because his hand was up, and I could just talk to you all day long. Like, let's do this for 2 more hours. Back in the back, yes.
Yes, good afternoon. Thank you
Yes.
for this opportunity, Superintendent Leon, Mayor Baraka. I would like to piggyback off of our East Side Scholar. My name is Leetwan Snowden. I'm a proud graduate of University High School, where I am now the Teacher Academy lead at that institution. We partner with Eastside High School, and we are building a pipeline, if you will, for future educators. And one thing that I do to inspire future teachers is to tell my story.
Yes.
And my story is I come from the same community that you have come from, and you can do great things when you have the community and the support that this community offers. For instance, for me, Superintendent Leon is the person that hired me 20 plus years ago. I have worked with Mayor Baraka at Central High School when he did the turnaround of Central High School. I learned from these leaders that we can impact our children for the positive. Yes, we may have variables out there in the streets, but if we tell our story to our children, they will be inspired. They will work hard like we want them to work hard. They will come back and they will be those positive contributors to our community that we so desperately need.
Incredible testimony. This is exactly why we say the Grow Your Own programs like the one we're featuring today matter so much. You are literally a shining example of that, and you can inspire others to go into the profession. You know, President Biden once said that show me your budget and I'll know your priorities. And we understand the investment that we're making and the priorities of public education and the way your mayor prioritized during the pandemic, a daily meeting twice a day to know how the senior citizens are doing and know how the young people are doing. This is an investment that when money was infused into this community already knew what it cared about. You did not need a pandemic to remind you of the importance of education and the importance of a teacher. Some people ask, like, when you go through a tragedy or an emergency or something happens. My husband got very sick many years ago, and somebody said, oh, once he got sick, is that how did you learn to, like, love each other more and you appreciate each other more? I'm like, no, I didn't need him to have a stroke for me to know how much we loved each other. What I know about this community in my time that I've been here already and what I know from your superintendent is you all didn't need a pandemic. When I just heard that story, and I heard you when you went to school here, you didn't need this, but this happened, and you met this with courage and strength and wisdom and resilience, and you're exhausted, and you came together, and you figured out the best way to direct these dollars in a way that's going to make a difference long-term, not just to open, stay open, and long-term difference. This is the future right here. What an honor for us to be here with all of you today. Thank you for everything you do, truly.